Hi cat fans, today we're talking about trainable cats and whether all cats are actually trainable. That's a huge question. Most cats are trainable, but some are simply easier than others. Today I'm going to talk about what you should be looking for if you're actually after a cat that you can train, like I've trained Dash. So there are 6 key criteria that you might want to look at when you're choosing a cat. The first is outright intelligence. How smart are they and how energetically do they absorb the world around them? The second is linked to that, which is their energy level. Highly active cats tend to be easier to train because they're just doing more things. The third is socialization. It's easier to train a cat that gets on well with people, that doesn't fight with dogs, that is not scared all the time, and a lot of that is to do with their early formative years. The fourth is food motivation. A cat that's motivated heavily by food tends to be easier to train because you have this reward response. Fifth is bonding and trust. If they believe that we have their best interests at heart, it's often easier to train them because we're putting them in a challenging situation which they will respond to. Jackson Galaxy calls this cat mojo. Last of all is age. If you can train a cat before the age of 6 months, it's noticeably easier than when they get older, but there's never really an older limit of where you can no longer train a cat. It's simply easier when they're young. So the second point is, what about the breed? Does it matter? And the short answer is yes, but not how you might think. So some breeds are naturally just easier to train. So 3 of the high energy breeds that are easy to train are Bengals, Abyssinians and Siamese because they're smart and high energy. Very active, so you have lots of chances to work with them. On the other hand, there's a different form of intelligence, which is social and good-natured intelligence. So Maine Coons, Gorats, a lot of the short hairs are relatively easy to train for social skills. They get on well with other pets. Ragdolls and Persians tend to be lower energy. They're very calm. So while they may be more difficult to train because their energy level is lower, they're easier to train for certain skills that require lower energy. And they're easier to train if you actually want a calm lap cat. And so this makes them ideal. You really have to pick your lifestyle and choose a breed that fits with that lifestyle. I haven't mentioned some of the breeds like Sphinxes because I don't really have a lot of interaction with them, but I do understand that the Sphinx is widely considered to be an incredibly clever cat. So what about non-pedigrees? They're a mixed bag and it depends very much on early socialization. The better socialized they were when they were young, the easier it will be to train. But here's what most people get wrong when they think, oh, I've got a cat that will be difficult to train because of the breed, or a cat that should be very easy, and then they get frustrated. Why is my Abyssinian like an absolute nightmare and I don't seem to be able to train it to do anything? Is it brain dead or defective? The answer is probably not. It's all to do with consistency. Just like in endurance sports, my favorite sport, consistency beats talent virtually every day of the week. If we're able to train them once, twice, or 3 times every day, we're fulfilling their life cycle because they sleep and wake up and go through a cycle every day multiple times. A type of breed may give you a little bit of a head start in terms of their temperament, but really consistency and building trust so that they know that you have their best interests at heart is probably what matters the most. The one thing I would say is if a cat is not food motivated, this is a huge challenge to overcome at the beginning for cat training. And so if they are not food motivated, your best idea is to actually focus on trying to get them food motivated. That may mean you have to feed them only 2 or 3 times a day on a regular schedule. You have to ensure that you are feeding them high quality food that they really like. You may have to try and establish what type of treats are most likely to motivate them. And then you do the training when they're most hungry and you slowly bring it out of them. But I've met cats before that are simply not food motivated at all. And if they are socially motivated, then at least you can use that as a proxy. Socially motivated means they'll do anything for your affection and your time. So the next topic I want to talk about is why I chose Dash. So I specifically wanted a cat that would be trainable, that I could walk on a leash and take sailing and a few other activities as well. I had previously had a Siamese lynx point, which was very well behaved and had learned quite a few skills, despite the fact that I knew nothing about training cats, and I still don't really. Originally my plan was a female Thai mixed breed cat, but I was unable to locate one. And so one of my friends who's Bangkok Bengal cats, he's a breeder, he recommended that I might want to consider an Abyssinian or a Bengal for what I wanted to achieve, and he eventually actually talked me into an Abyssinian because he felt it was just slightly less volatile. There was less chance that the cat would be unable to sleep at night, for example, and I have an elderly mother So the cat being quite gentle and not too big was quite important for me. And I wanted to make sure that he'd been well socialized. This particular breeder, they raise their cats not in cages or captivity. All their cats mingle together, so Dash was extremely well socialized when I got him. And the first time that I saw him, he was the only blue Abyssinian I've ever seen in my life, and I really felt like he looked cooler than pretty much any other cat that I'd seen at the time. All his litter mates were ruddies, and both his parents were ruddies as well, so the blue Abyssinian really stood out to me. And the first time that I played with him, we really had this bond. The first night that I got him and brought him home, we played like basically all night. He slept on my legs, and it's been love at first sight until today, where he's almost 4 years old. I would say Abyssinians, the breed, is naturally smart and active, so we're a great fit, but your mileage may vary. Not every Abyssinian is easy to train, and also not every cat that's not an Abyssinian is difficult to train. I think the principles that I espouse with trust-based training, which is what I've learned on my journey with Dash, can vary, but they can work with just about any cat of any age. So my call to action for you is, in future videos, we'll be breaking down specific cues step by step. So hopefully all the things that I learned, both good and bad, can be passed and shared onto you so that you can make your own trainable cat. Subscribe if you want, and you'll be able to see what's possible with consistent training. I hope you can join Dash and me on our cat journey. Peace out.